Hello and welcome to Midnight 29's Readings. Today we'll be reading Adoration, written by Miffles. Fluttershy sighed in content. She had always loved spring, not only the temperatures being not too cold or not too hot, but usually just right. That wasn't all that she loved though. She loved the night. Usually the dark frightened her, but she loved springtime nights, because the moon always shined brighter than normal, and the spring flowers looked beautiful under the shining moonlight. And the only thing she might have appreciated slightly more than the other things were the animals. The nocturnal animals in other seasons were certainly amazing, and Fluttershy still loved them. But there was just something about the nocturnal animals in the springtime that was special, and she was never able to put her hoof on it. Fluttershy laid in the grass in her front yard, near the stream. She stared at the night sky, the glistening stars contrasting against the blanket of darkness behind her. She had put all of her animals to bed and was left to herself, aside from her nocturnal friends, of course. There were the ever-present owls, the flying squirrels which perched high in the treetops, mice lurking in the grass, a few white-tailed deer here and there. Fluttershy, however, noticed something different about them all. She still couldn't tell. She still loved whatever was different. She didn't really dwell on it much. She liked it. Fluttershy glanced briefly at the flowing river water, admiring the way the moon's particularly bright light reflected off it. That was one of the reasons why she loved spring nights. She made up a theory that Luna put an extra care into the sky during springtime, making the moon just a bit brighter, the stars just a bit shinier. She kept the lights in her cottage on just in case, for extra assurance. In her personal opinion, she felt safe, even though she was so close to the Everfree Forest. But she felt safe anyway, as if the night sky comforted her. There was a full moon almost every night, or so Fluttershy thought, but there obviously wasn't. Luna was strict with her moon phase schedule, but she still enjoyed the moon every night. An owl flew over and perched on her back, careful not to hurt her. The animals were always so gentle with her. She loved that, and they loved her. Fluttershy eyed a couple of flowers that were around her, petals of assorted colours, orange, pink, blue, yellow, purple and white. The middles were just a mix of a very light pink and dark blue. She found that strange. But she wasn't one to question nature too much. She just admired the beautiful things it could bring. She then saw a very strange flower. It consisted of all 8 colours, the middle both light pink and dark blue in a yin-yang sign. The rest of the 6 petals were pink, blue, white, purple, orange and yellow. She decided to get it out of the ground sometime during the spring, to keep it in her house, as long as there were other flowers like this, so she wouldn't feel like she was taking it away from its home. Fluttershy started to think about the flower though. She'd never seen it before. Where had it come from? She pondered about it for a little bit, but soon found she'd never seen it before. Where had it come from? Oh well, a new flower for her book. She would have to remember to come out tomorrow night to get a picture of it. But for now she would just admire it. She noticed it was a little taller than the other flowers around it, and as she gingerly lifted the hoof to the touch of the yellow petal, she noticed it matched her fur color. She jerked her hoof back cautiously, almost frightened. But she then turned to normal, and realized that nature was nothing to be afraid of. She was just being silly. She felt a strange attraction to the flower, as if it was her friend. She stared at it for a few moments more, before she caught the movement in the corner of her eye. She glanced to see an owl on her back, and she smiled at it. "Oh, hello, Owlicious," Fluttershy greeted him. "What are you doing here?" instead of with Twilight?" she questioned the Owl, and he only said "Who?" With Fluttershy translated into "She said to come visit." "Why?" she asked. Owlicious shrugged, and Fluttershy pondered upon the answer for a second. Maybe she thought that he was sick. "Are you feeling okay?" Perhaps she thought that you weren't feeling well. The Owl shook his head. Twilight didn't know animals as well as Fluttershy, so Owlicious might have done something a little out of the ordinary, and she sent him here. She returned to looking at the land around her, and she eyed a cherry blossom tree. She'd always loved that tree. It was a beautiful tree which had grown so much since she had planted it. She felt a little nostalgic looking at it. The way the moonlight shone off the wood, and the light wind rustling the cherry blooms, which were now in full bloom, made it look very dramatic. But Fluttershy loved the way it looked. One of the cherry blossoms broke free from the tree and fluttered over to her. It landed right in front of her, and she put it in her mane, right behind her ear. She thought she'd keep it, maybe just as a keepsake, but only for a little bit. She bowed her head, resting it in her hooves, which were now extended in front of her. Owlicious was still perched on her back, but he began to fly away. He flapped his wings, beginning to take off. A breeze created by his wings brushed over Fluttershy's back, and she shivered slightly. Fluttershy was being lulled to sleep by nature. She glanced up right before her eyes finally shut for the night, and she saw a silhouette casted on the moon. Her mane was flowing, and she gave a single wink, which seemed to be directed at Fluttershy, before the silhouette disappeared, and Fluttershy fell victim to sleep. Good night, dearest Fluttershy. And that was Adoration by Miffles. I will see you all next week, and stay brony!